expliquer?
Oui. Depuis que vous êtes dans le locaux, est-ce qu'on
Vous n'êtes pas torturé, non?
Est-ce qu'on vous a... On a touché à un seul de vos cheveux. On vous a brutalisé? Non.
Silence. Ok? Ok? Silence.
Speech, they explained that there were too many deaths and that it's time to sit down, perhaps rewrite a constitution, adapted to the circumstances of Guinea, talking about the situation in hospitals and at schools. Essentially, during the rule of Alpha Condé, there's been a huge increase in the economic prospects. A country that's wealthy in iron ore and exports have been increasing rapidly, especially to China, Russia, and to Europe. But the circumstances of ordinary Guineans have gone from bad to worse. Most people live on less than $2 a day. They've struggled through the economic pandemic where there were heavy restrictions put in place. And many people who live just on $2 a day and that get by on a day's wage, well, they weren't able to survive. And also the heavy-handedness of the security forces and this sense amongst a portion of Guinea's population that they weren't being represented by Alpha Condé. Remember, during the last election, the Office of the United Nations Watch on Genocide pointed out that Alpha Condé should calm down on his rhetoric, his ethnic rhetoric in this country where the Fulanis make up the majority, but the Malinke, from which he is have taken up key position in the government and security forces. So there was growing division within society there.
Okay, we've lost, have we lost it? We still have those pictures from RTG, the national broadcaster in Guinea. Well, they're leaving now. The people who were speaking from the army, unclear who's in charge right now. I know you've watched a lot of the same videos as I have, Nick, of these soldiers, red berets, who are the presidential guard, of course. Is it clear now who's in charge? Who do we see in that video, you think, of these soldiers speaking on national television?
Well, what's interesting is we've seen the Red Berets, the presidential guards that are meant to protect the president, now holding the president under arrest. But we've also seen the elite special forces that have been on the ground, it seems, coordinating with these Red Berets. And one name has been floating around social media, Mamadou Doumbouya, who is the head of the special forces, a former French legionnaire who came in 2018 to reinforce these special forces. And he's been accused by the government, who saw him with suspicion, of trying to move away from the Ministry of Defense to gain greater independence and seen as perhaps a foe to the president. But what's clear in this message and this action that we've seen of these special forces, these armed forces, that they feel that the civilian rule or the democratic way isn't representing Guineans, and they felt that they should take over power to bring what they believe is a new Guinea, a feeling perhaps emulating what happened in a neighboring country in Mali, where we've seen the military takeover when there was a popular uprising and popular protests against the president there. We have to remember fully that in Guinea there's been a protest for the last year that you and I have been covering in the region, protesting the rule of Alpha Condé, and that may explain why these emboldened soldiers took to what they're doing right now.
Let me just remind our viewers, Nick, of what we're watching right now. These are the latest pictures coming to us from Guinea state broadcaster RTG. It is now past 5 p.m. in Guinea, 5:12 p.m. It's GMT time. No, actually 5:12 p.m. here in Doha. So that's 14:12 p.m. GMT in Guinea, and soldiers have appeared on national television addressing Guineans and saying that now is the time for Guinea to unite and create a new constitution that would address the country's problems. As Nick Hack said there, this increasingly looks like a coup d'etat against President Alpha Condé. And this coup reportedly has been led by Lieutenant Colonel Doumbouya,
Guinéennes et Guinéens, chers compatriotes, la situation sociopolitique et économique du pays, le dysfonctionnement des institutions républicaines, l'instrumentalisation de la justice, le piétinement des droits des citoyens, l'irrespect des principes démocratiques, la politisation à outrance de l'administration publique, la gabegie financière, la pauvreté et la corruption endémique ont émené l'armée républicaine de Guinée à travers le Comité national du rassemblement et du développement, CNRD, à prendre ses responsabilités vis-à-vis du peuple souverain de Guinée et dans sa totalité. Nous avons décidé ainsi, après avoir pris le président qui est actuellement avec nous, de la République, nous avons décidé de dissoudre la Constitution en vigueur, de dissoudre les institutions. Nous avons décidé aussi de dissoudre le gouvernement, de la fermeture des frontières terrestres et aériennes. Nous appelons nos frères d'armes à l'unité afin de répondre aux aspirations légitimes du peuple de Guinée. Nous les invitons également chacun, à ce qui le concerne, de rester dans les casernes et continuer leurs activités régaliennes. On ne va pas reprendre les erreurs du passé. Nous allons nous concentrer sur le développement.
Vous m'expliquez?
Oui.
Depuis que vous êtes dans
Oui.
le locaux, est-ce qu'on
Vous
vous a
n'êtes pas
fait du mal?
torturé, non?
Est-ce qu'on vous a... On a touché à un seul de vos cheveux. On vous a brutalisé? Non.
Silence. Okay. Okay. Silence.
On the situation in Guinea-Conakry, where, as we reported earlier, heavy gunfire has been heard near the presidential palace in Conakry. Unclear who's responsible for this gunfire. We're going to bring in West Africa correspondent now, Nicholas Haak, who's joining us on the phone from Dakar in Senegal. And Nick, I know you've been speaking to people in Conakry. What are they telling you about what's happening?
Well, currently, Foley, there is heavy gunfire. Troops deployed in the peninsula of Kalam, which is a district in downtown Conakry where the presidential palace is. It's believed that the president, Alpha Condé, early this morning went out towards Hotel Kalam, where he was suspectedly ambushed by people who started shooting at him. We know now that he is inside that hotel, that he is safe and well, but there continues to be a gun battle in that district. Eyewitnesses say they've seen wounded being taken to the Donka hospital. And you know, this comes just after a week where the National Parliament had voted the new budget for the presidency and the parliamentarians, an increase in budget for both the presidency and staff that works at the presidency and at the National Assembly, but a substantial decrease in budget for those that work in the security forces, that include the police and the military, a 5% decrease in their salary. So there could be disgruntled officers that could be behind the gun battle. We have no confirmation of who's behind it. We know that the presidency has confirmed that Alpha Condé is safe, but of course there has been, ever since he's been reelected in power a year ago, there's been some political unrest in Guinea. You know, he had tweaked the constitution to allow him to run for a third mandate, and the opposition had said that he wasn't the legitimate winner of those elections. And ever since he took power, he had to manage this conflict between the opposition, people within his ranks wanting more from his power, people within the military as well that are disgruntled with not having enough salaries or wages.
Right.
But for the moment, there's a sense of fear in downtown Conakry of what is happening. Is it a coup? We don't know if it's a coup or not. Is it something else? No one really knows.
Right.
But yeah.
No, I was going to say there have been reports that the army has been deployed to the streets of Conakry. As you say, I mean, political unrest, of course, is not new in Guinea. What would be significant and interesting here is this element of perhaps tension within the army or the military. You talked about the army, perhaps members of the army being disgruntled. That would be significant in this case.
Yes, I mean, every time there has been a coup attempt in Guinea, and there has been just last year, that has come from ranks of the military. And you have to remember that during the last elections, Alpha Condé really pushed an ethnic element to the forefront. You know, Guinea is a Fulani majority country. The Medinke have been the ones that have been ruling Guinea for the last few decades, and there are members of the military, lower-ranking members of the military, or people who are from other regions like Guinea Forestière, who are disgruntled with and feel disconnected with the central power of Alpha Condé. Now, Alpha Condé is a shrewd politician. He's been member of the opposition for decades, but really, this is another testing time for him to see if he can bring the country together. And of course, this is a country that is extremely wealthy, and yet where people live in dire poverty. And there's a sense from those that are critical of the government that he's not doing enough to redistribute that wealth, including in those ranks of the military. So, you know, this vote in the parliament last week of an increased budget for the presidency and a decreased budget for those who are civil servants, including members of the security forces, hasn't gone down well. There was a press conference yesterday where there were strong words put forward against Alpha Condé. So it doesn't come as a surprise that there would be violence on the streets and protests. But no confirmation yet of who's behind this.
Okay,
for now,
we'll keep a close eye on the situation with you, of course, Nicholas Saka, correspondent in Dakar, Senegal, with the latest on the situation in Guinea, where there are reports of heavy gunfire in the capital, Conakry, this Sunday.
Libérez la route. Libérez la route. Il n'y a pas de route. Il
Ada video gini, nanti kan bisa apa ya? Dia di video sulatan. Halo? 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 Ini di sisi lapas di situ, itu direct itu kan nggak ada ya. Alay udah bikin gitu. Itu buat. Ya, itu sisi lapas.